think we are now on YouTube. YouTube is saying we are currently live. So, oh, it's loading. There we go. Hi, welcome YouTube world. We just welcomed Facebook world, and this is our first ever live stream on the LARP channel. No. Second. I almost forgot. Or
what?
Third.
I
forgot.
It's
the
the
first
second.
one for me.
It's the second live for Facebook.
Yeah.
It's the first live.
This is the first one for YouTube.
I think the last time I did a live, I was still in my apartment, and I was playing a board game that you can play solo or with other players because it's you versus the game, called Elder Sign.
Okay.
So a quick run through. You set up cards. You have all these different little tile pieces, and you have characters. And when you take on a card, you're taking on a task. And you have a series of different dice, and it says you have to roll certain sets of dice in a certain order to succeed. So you roll all the dice, and then there's a chance to have extra dice, or you get a penalty and you lose dice. There's wild card dice. It's a crazy fun game that takes a long time to play. But inevitably, you're trying to take on or prevent a deity from waking up, like Cthulhu or what was his name? Yik, something like that. Some serpent deity thing.
Oh, one of them. Yeah.
It was a Cthulhu thing. It was a Lovecraft thing by far.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I've played a couple board games like that where it's mostly just you versus the game, and maybe the other players are competing, but it's not required.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right.
So, is that going slower?
Yeah, there's a what is it called? Latency. It's
okay.
There's a so yeah, but we switched to this one and we're just fine. Yeah, that's how soon people on YouTube are seeing us.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a time difference.
So since I'm new to this aspect, is there a way to see like comments or anything?
Yeah, the comments will pop up over here.
Oh, okay.
And then here's views, chat rate, average view duration, which is right now us. So we are the ones viewing.
We're doing fantastic right now.
Man, that one viewer really loves us, or must be super entertained. But
okay, so before we get into the questions, I want to show everybody something. This is the first time you're going to see it. Well, it's the first time you're seeing it. It's not going to be the last time you see it.
Of course.
The other three players, Dugan, Liz, and Priscilla, are all going to see this as well. But I've been working on this for probably about a year and a half.
Oh, man.
I custom designed it. And the first time around when I had it made, it came out and looked like shit. And part of it was broken and everything, so I got a hold of the company that made it, and I was like, this is what you sent me. So they sent a replacement. It still looked like shit. And it was tiny, and I wanted it big. So I recently got in touch with a woman named Mandy. I don't know where she's from exactly, but she has her own YouTube channel called Mandy's Minis.
Kind of sounds familiar, I think. Yeah.
I purchased the STL file of the original design, and I screenshot several images of the creature I had created to send to her so she could get the coloring right. She not only custom printed to size, but she also hand painted the whole thing.
Wow.
So for the first time for you and for the viewers and everything, you get to see your BBEG for the game.
Damn. That's pretty cool.
I'll show it to you guys as well.
Alright, then the other camera.
Yep. Now here's the best part. This upcoming Saturday, her YouTube channel, Mandy's Minis, is going to be doing a video about how she made this.
We got a chatter. Michael. A wild Kent appears. Johnny uses high five.
Oh gosh. All right, hang on. That's about the best you're gonna get. But yeah, she did a YouTube video on how she made this. So if you guys want to check that out, go to Mandy's Minis on YouTube, and she'll be posting a video. I believe it's this Saturday.
Okay.
It was really cool to have this done. This is what I wanted, and after I got it, I'm picturing it like, now how cool would it look if it was big? Like if the base was a gargantuan sized base.
Yeah.
It was like, that's almost like the size of a standard toy at that point.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy.
Yeah, she even did writing and stuff inside the book and everything.
Man.
Too. You talk about killer detail.
Yeah, that is insane. I can't wait to be crushed by that thing. Not surviving.
Well, when we get to the point of actually fighting it and everybody's around the table, I'll give you guys more details as to how I created it, but you guys got to kill him first.
So, that's fair enough.
So I'm going to leave him right. Everybody see that? Everybody see that? Yeah.
Michael said, just sat down and saw your live stream. Thought, man, I haven't seen that guy in a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time either. Okay. You said you had a question.
Yes. Oh, I have a series of questions. First one, I feel would be the most appropriate, is how did we meet?
Where do you want me to start at? The day we actually met or the day I hit you in the nuts by accident?
I don't remember either of those. So I'd say lead the way.
Okay. You and I met through Dugan, one of our other players.
Correct.
I don't remember how you two knew each other, but he brought you and another guy out to Amped Guard, which was what the YouTube channel was originally intended for. That's why it's called the LARP channel. And we were playing at the local park that I was originally part of. And that's how we met. We started playing. And you absolutely loved, what was it, the Great Sword?
Yeah. Dugan, I think it was Dugan, ended up making a great sword for me that stands about 5.5 feet tall. Just about, yeah. That thing was crazy. It was super fun. I remember drinking, like, we were only out there for like 3 hours, but like I ended up drinking like an entire gallon of water during that time. It was quite the workout.
Well, I mean, we're running around. It's blazing hot, and the only shade was the pavilion where we couldn't be at when we were on the field playing.
Yeah.
So it was a come out at your own risk.
Yeah.
The hitting you in the nuts thing was a class battle we were doing, and I remember playing Wizard. You tried to sneak up behind me, and all I did was turn around and go, no! I didn't realize how close you were, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, there was quite a few nut shots in Amped Guard. In fact, Dugan ended up making a javelin, which we all named the Jewel Seeker. Yeah, the Jewel Seeker, because it didn't matter who was wielding it or how they threw it. It eventually hit someone in the nuts every single day.
It wasn't a complete Amped Guard day till somebody got hit in the nuts.
Correct. And he was quite the weaponsmith, Dugan.
Oh, yeah.
He made another, I think it wasn't a great sword, but a long sword called, what did we call it? The Oppressor? It was, it had a bamboo core, so it was curved, and once again, whoever wielded it, they just dominated, and I think it was due to the curved edge of the sword. Well, it doesn't have an edge, but you know what I mean. Because no one was used to fighting something like that.
I remember it reminded me of an anime. It was a Japanese anime. A guy used a curved blade, but the blade was on the inside of the curve.
Oh.
I remember he had like a pink shirt on. He had long red hair. I can't remember what his name was.
Almost sounds like a One Piece character. Or like something crazy.
I know it wasn't
like Berserk.
It was an older... I know it was an older anime.
Oh.
And I'm getting like 5 or 6 different ones mixed up in my
head,
so I can't remember which one it was. I'd have to go do some serious research.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
Michael said, I hope not. If you've seen me and I haven't seen you, that would cross into creepy territory, man.
No, I haven't seen you. I haven't. Unless something you posted on Facebook pops up.
You silly greatsword users all fall before this single short. It's a legal target.
That's what a bow and arrow's for.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how you and I met, and then we reconnected
At work.
at work. Actually, yeah.
Yeah. I gained 50 pounds and lost all my head hair.
I didn't recognize you.
And then I looked. I'm like, hey, that guy looks familiar.
Yeah.
And it took you a second. I had to go on Facebook and scroll up to like what I looked like in 2018. I'm like, yeah, there's me.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. You recognized me before I recognized you.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame you. I look completely different.
It was weird. I'd seen you
Mm-hmm.
a dozen times, and I'm just like, okay, he's another employee here. Cool. And then you come up and you're like, hey, it's been a while. I'm like, what the fuck's he talking about? What?
But yeah, Amped Guard those were good times. That was super fun. And I believe that's how you met Dugan as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we were doing, they were having some sort of event thing out at Center Lake Park, and I called the facility that was hosting it to make sure if we came out, we weren't going to be in the way or anything.
Mm-hmm.
They were on one side of the field, which is where we commonly would meet.
Yeah.
And then we met over on the stage side, and their company had him represent them to come out and talk to us.
Okay.
And get an idea of what was going on, make sure that everything was going smoothly, and turns out he was actually looking for a LARP to play.
That's right. And I remember being told the story of the first session he showed up to. Do you remember that?
Vaguely. We had a tournament going on. It was really, really cold, and there was a lot of snow on the ground. And he came out in, I want to say it was either a t-shirt or a sleeveless shirt, and a homemade kilt, and barefoot.
Yeah.
That was it.
Always barefoot.
You see all
it would be like 102 degrees outside, and he would be like on top of there's like a little pavement or like brick outcropping kind of thing, and he'd be running around on it, like doesn't bother him all. And I remember the guy that I brought with me, Chris.
Yeah.
At one point, he's like, "Oh, I'll go barefoot too," and he ended up burning his feet.
Yeah, I never told anybody you can't be barefoot, but I was like, you're doing it at your own risk. And
Yeah.
Dugan, I think, got hurt twice, actually. He didn't see a metal railing, and he landed
I
on
remember.
that.
I think it was same day.
Well, no, because I remember this was hotter out.
Yeah.
And then the second time, we found out that the trees around us were some variation of cherry trees, and they had thorns about that long.
Oh.
And he got a thorn stuck about a good 3/4 of an inch into his heel.
Oh man.
He was in pain, and I ended up pulling it out.
Jeez. Michael says, "Yeah, I don't recognize you at all from Park, so guessing you don't look anything at all at the time." Which, no, I'm like an entirely different person.
Yeah, all the hair went from here to here.
Yeah, no beard, long shaggy hair, wireframe glasses, and like 16 years old.
Yeah, we'd have to scroll way, way back in the photos.
Yeah, way back.
Well, that would actually be in the Sun Moon Pass page.
It would.
Yeah, that wasn't on this page. Well, some of it might have been. I honestly don't remember. You actually might be in some of the old videos as well.
I think I am. I remember. No, I think I'm confusing it with a Snapchat video someone else took of me, where I was down, or like I got hit in the leg, so I couldn't use the leg, and so I used the tactics of just go both knees to the ground and just sprint on my knees.
That's very common. Everybody just like they got nubs on their feet.
Still had my greatsword too, so
it was either run around on the nubs or barrel rolls.
Yeah. What was your amped name?
Oh,
what was my amped name?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
That was a long time ago. I know I was a barbarian.
Yeah.
And Chris, his was Hawk.
I remember that.
I don't even remember Dugan's.
Bryak.
That sounds about right.
Yep. He went all out in the role play too. Like he had the outfit, the mask, everything. Well, he was trying. They would make stuff at home and bring it out. It wasn't like super expensive stuff.
Mm.
They basically turned nothing into something, and it was really cool.
Dugan goes all out.
Oh,
Whatever he gets interested in, it's like it's just crazy. You don't want to go up against that man if he is entirely determined.
Oh yeah, between him playing a barbarian and me playing a druid. Yeah. Okay. No joke. There was actually one fight where he'd make a point of coming after me because I was a more experienced player.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say I got into druid, I don't just mean okay, boom, I'm druid. No, I like playing in a D&D game. I learned druid from level 1 up. And I started like playing around with the spells and the class itself as a whole until I got to level 6 and found something I was comfortable with. And then from there, I started exploring other options, like if I wanted to makeshift the druid into a sub-healer type or a sub-assassin type or something of that nature. And I had a hand crossbow and I was carrying around about 4 or 5 foam bolts.
Yeah.
I was I don't know if I was the last one on the field, but at one point he saw an opportunity to come after me, and I'd say he was probably about 50 yards away, sees me, does a dead sprint, and I just stand there and nonchalantly pull the bolt out and poof, and he takes it in the gut, rolls past me, and he's just like, son of a bitch.
I remember one time him getting hit in the eye with an arrow. Do you remember that? It was one of our larger events, and we were like all running towards each other, and someone with a bow shot it, and Dugan was a little too close, and they didn't aim as well as they should have, and they hit him like straight in the eye socket.
Oh.
And he sat down for I think just the rest of that game, but came back for the next one.
Yeah.
There's so many stories from Amped Guard. That was super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, now that we've completely gone off subject from D&D, that was the origins of the LARP channel. At that point, I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I want to start video recording these things because I was going to events all the time. I was part of Amped Guard. I occasionally went to Daga here, and then there was a third LARP that, let's just say it didn't end well between the two of us, that I was going to and I stepped away from. But I was trying to do more video work.
Yeah.
I was trying to get to the point where it was almost like a LARP-oriented travel channel type of thing, where I would travel out to different parks and different LARPs in general and just post a new episode each week of some other game, simultaneously doing videos for us. Well, and then COVID happened, and everybody said, okay, nope, we're done. We'll stop. The last video I posted, the last good video I posted was a LARP interview via Skype with a guy from Australia.
Oh.
So it was like 6 or 7 p.m. here, and it was like 9 a.m. for him. And we only met because we were both part of a Facebook group that focused on YouTube and LARPing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The game he played in, he actually designed and came up with, and it was like a cross between Amped Guard and just about any heavy RP based type of LARP, where it's less about the combat and more about the role play, and they just blended the two together.
Okay, that's one thing I did notice about Amped Guard. There wasn't really a lot of role play involved. It was mostly just hitting each other with big foam sticks.
Yeah,
and if someone didn't call their shots, then you just hit them harder until they do.
Yeah, that was the one thing I remember. Nut shots were always reserved for that one person that wouldn't take their hits. It's like, I'm going to make you know you got hit. One way or another, you're taking it. Wham! Okay, all right. I'm good. I'm out. Okay. So Tales of the Adventurers Guild.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow the other podcast, the Fallen Stars series, that was I guess you could say the prelude to Tales of the Adventurers Guild. The company that I was getting boxes from did a main storyline and then just did one-offs each month. And I was getting all these one-off boxes after I got all of season. They called it year 3. For me, it was season 1 for our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I want to do something with these. And that's when I got you guys all together, and we did. Which one was it? Death and Limbo.
Yes. How did you meet Priscilla and Liz, by the way?
So that actually started with Priscilla.
Mm-hmm.
There was a D&D Facebook group for, it was either an Indiana group or a Fort Wayne group.
Mm-hmm.
And she had put a post up saying, I want to run a D&D game. I'm out of Warsaw, and I can host a location for us. I just need players.
Okay.
And I saw the post, and I commented on the post, and then she said to contact her directly, I think. I spoke to her, and then she put together a group chat for all of us, and we all got together and started playing Ghosts of Saltmarsh.
Ooh.
And that was how I met Priscilla and Liz and a couple of other people, and just through time and gameplay and whatnot, I sat down with the two of them. They were two of the, I don't know as many females that play
Mm-hmm.
D&D as I do guys, and I always like to try to do a balanced mix between guys and girls for gameplay. So given that they were the other two girls that I knew who could come to the game, and I knew them better than I knew anybody else that had been playing, I invited them, and they're both like, yeah, let's do this.
No. and that's how I met them too. I met them with through Tales of the Adventurers Guild. I met Dugan. Dugan, he was my Sunday school teacher at church. So I've known him since it's probably been 10 years since I've met him. About give or take a year or two.
Wow.
So.
And you guys have been friends that whole time?
Pretty much. I mean, we've like drifted, off and on, but it's always, if we run into each other, it's always like, oh, hey, man, or if I saw something that reminded me of Dugan, I'd send him a message on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, check this out, and he'd do vice versa. So,
cool.
Yeah.
All right. So the second thing I'm going to show to you guys.
Okay.
You kind of saw this already.
Yes.
I found this at Barnes & Noble, and when I found it, I was like, yeah, I'm getting this. It's this thing. Tenfold Dungeon, the Temple. If you bought any of those board games where the lid comes off, and it's made out of that heavy-duty well, here, I'll just pull it out of here and show you.
Oh, yeah. I've gotten something like that. It's the Townsend Tiles or something like that.
Well, it's not really tiles, because it's all just boxes.
Oh.
And it comes with plastic pieces. You've got individual rooms and stuff.
Snacks.
Not quite. I mean, if you want to try to eat them, it's your hospital bills.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's kind of what they look like. They look like an outdoor sort of thing, and then they've got their own set of tiles to act as platforms. Underneath one of these two is also cardboard pop-outs that you fold and put together, and they form stairs, so if you use it this way, the characters can come up onto the platform. And then it also has pieces that fold with plastic pieces that connect the boxes to create doors.
That's pretty cool.
So you can connect all the rooms and everything. They look really cool. Let me see if I can give you guys a closer view here.
My wife finally woke up.
And it's just a number of individual rooms, and you make a battle map with them. I was like, that's really freaking cool. And then it all just connects back together. What's cool is the two pieces that it comes in are also part of it.
Yeah.
2 large rooms and a series of smaller rooms and everything. I just thought it was really, really neat.
You said you got that at Barnes & Noble's for $65?
Yes. Now that being said, you can also go to gf9games.com/tenfold and find other things that they have. They have a lot of different ones. I didn't get a whole lot of time to take a look at what all they had, but yeah.
GF9 was it? GF9 Games?
Games.com. They didn't pay me to say that. I just thought it was really cool.
Just a little shout out.
Yeah. Maybe
Not
consider
that they need
sponsoring us.
it. So they got. So that was the temple. They also got the town, dungeons and sewers, and the castle.
Yeah.
Which
the two I saw was this one, and I think the other one was the sewers, actually.
that one looks pretty cool. Oh, I see what you're talking about with the pop-ups and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. I almost went all out and bought the D&D mini gargantuan purple worm thing that's like this big too. Ooh. You gonna live over there?
Maybe. We'll find out.
All right. So, give me a second here. What else was it you were wanting to ask? I think I covered more than one question.
Yes. So we got how did we meet? How did we meet the cast?
Mm-hmm.
So what made you want to start Tales of the Adventurers Guild?
I kind of touched base on this already.
A little bit, yeah.
I gotten it. So these are the boxes that I get in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
They're the subscription boxes. Each month is something different. If a holiday's coming up, it's themed around. So like this one that's coming up for next month is another horror gore fest type of one.
That'll be fun
for Halloween. When we did Dread Harvest, that was last year's Halloween one.
Okay. That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That one pushed some boundaries. But, so, Voyage of the Fallen Star was doing really, really good. And, like I said, I found all these other games that I had, all these other ones that were coming in. It's like, I can add these in, or I can just make them little ones. And at first, Tales of the Adventurers Guild was just in between bonus content add-ons.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think. There was a few of them. There was one that Ren and I had done. Oh, by the way, we might get a visitor later. A few visitors, actually. Ren might be joining us, and then our little furry friends might be joining us, too.
Oh.
Cosmo. What was that one called? It was,
Death in Limbo?
No, it was before the...
Oh. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was a few of them. I did... Jeez. Anyway, the premise of the story was a small village of gnomes were being terrorized by a fire giant with hellhounds. And every year he would come and demand tribute.
Mm-hmm.
So that they could continue to mine mithril out of the mountain where he resided. But he was bleeding them so dry that they almost didn't have anything. And if they couldn't give him a tribute, he would take a few of the villagers back to where he lived at and enslave them. And so the characters are brought in to try to put an end to that. And it was Ren and I playing. We had a dragon, a Leonin warlock, and a human paladin, I believe.
Okay.
And it was the two of us, and we fought against a fire giant. When we go to intermission, I might go grab the big guy and show you, because he's got this really cool double-bladed great sword that's like this freaking tall.
Jeez.
Then we did. What was another one? We did another one that involved a tower, and this one Liz and Priscilla were in.
Mm-hmm.
We're both getting sick.
Yep. It's going around.
It is. But he was a chaos sorcerer, and he took over I said he took over a tower from the College of Ether. That wasn't necessarily the storyline, but that's how I integrated it into the story. And so it was other games like that existed in the world of the Great Sea while the main story was going on. So there was always something else happening, another threat, this or that. And that was where the Death in Limbo
That makes sense. Yeah.
came up with. Your guys' characters. This was the first time you guys had all met.
Yep.
And so when we did that, I was like, I like this. I like this dynamic. I like the group. I like everybody's enjoyment with the game. And everybody was going all out to be involved and everything. And I was like, you know what? We could do something with this.
Yeah.
And obviously we did.
But yeah, I really do like the group that we've formed. We all get along pretty well. We kind of know where everybody's stance is, and if we don't, we're comfortable enough to reach out. And 3 viewers on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know who else it is, but hi, welcome.
Hello. Yeah, I think the group has a great dynamic going on, and it's a very silly group.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. You kind of have to have that, because then otherwise it's just a game. There's nothing more to it. It's just people sitting around, okay, cool, and that's it. But yeah, so the individual games, as you have seen and as our listeners have heard, is just a series of games, and then I created a small overarching storyline that brought it all together. After that, I let your guys' background stories kind of fill in whatever gaps there were. And so, like, when Enoch meets his mentor, that was one of them. Obviously, there's going to be a point where we do something with Priscilla's character and the battle in the Plain of the Fairy between Silvora and Lord Ingrail. I haven't put together something for Liz's character yet with the Myconid thing, but I'm getting some ideas. Some stuff has been publicly made from our friends over at Critical Crafting, and I think I might take advantage of some of that. And then obviously Dugan put a hefty amount into his background story. I'd be an idiot not to touch into that. And he and I have talked a couple of times because he loves to go into detail with his stuff. And so I've been pulling little bits and pieces out of, say, like World of Warcraft and stuff, just to kind of give it more flavor and touch up the edges of the story and everything. But I've got a pretty good thing put together. The only thing that's going to throw it off is if somebody decides to do a complete 180 with their character and say, okay, I'm not focused on this anymore. I'm going that way.
But, yeah. The only character I can really see that happening to is Tarks, because he's kind of in a very I'm not sure what the right word for it is, exploratory kind of stage in his life, where he's out here, he's trying to accomplish his goal of killing a certain amount of creatures and humanoids and
that's going to be one of the first things I get into. You guys are going to hate me for it, but
oh no.
But yeah, next game session is actually going to be the first time you guys meet this guy.
Oh.
And that's where I'm going to touch base a little bit into his story and everything, as well as into Priscilla's story, and then later on, because I already kind of went into yours.
Yeah.
And I'm going to circle back around to that. Yours kind of got split into 2, so it was the start and somewhere else in the mix of it. And then I still have Liz's character to touch base into.
Yeah. Enoch is very go with the flow. He's kind of here to have fun and hang out and knock some heads together.
Right.
It's really, he doesn't really have too much of a personal goal. And I think that's why it's so easy to get along with them.
He's the character that I picture if, just for sake of example, say Tarks decides he's going to get rubbed the wrong way with some other NPC. Enoch's the guy I see going, all right, Go ahead. Let's see it. Let me get some popcorn here.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
All right, so you've been asking questions. I got one for you now.
Okay.
What got you started into Dungeons and Dragons?
Dugan. He was also my first DM.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We've been circling around a lot,
Yeah.
haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah, when I was like 14, 15, Dugan got me and a bunch of other guys from our church into D&D. And so we couldn't meet in person, so I'd borrow my mom's laptop for like 3 hours every Thursday night or something like that.
Okay.
And we would play on Roll20. And
okay.
and that's how I got my start. My start was online. The first character I played was a pre-built one that Dugan kind of just handed to me.
Right.
It was a wizard. I don't even remember his name or what it was from. It was all I really remember is that there was only 3 players and we were going into some sort of icy area.
Mm-hmm.
The first character I ever made was a weird one. His name was Amari Oakenheel, and he was a cleric pacifist. So he does not... The only thing he will do any violence towards is undead. Because they're not living things.
Would, by extension of that, also be like creatures from the infernal or abyssal realms as well? Demons and devils?
Demons, I think he made an exception for those, too. Demons, devils, and undead. But everything else is, like, off the table.
Right. So he intentionally made himself a support character for the party.
Yes. And this was in 3.5e, and we were using some homebrew stuff. So Dugan pulled up the Book of Exalted Deeds, and there is a Path of Poverty, I believe it's called, and it gets crazy busted the further on you go. So like at one point you don't need to breathe in order to live or like eat or drink, because the entire point is that you don't have any earthly possessions. You're just kind of like a walking like monk kind of guy. It's mostly for like monks and stuff like that, but yeah.
Wow.
Amari became pretty busted towards... We only got to like 4th level, but after that, we, due to something I don't even remember, we couldn't do it anymore. And so Dugan just wrote what the ending of it was. And he's like, this is what your character did, this is what your character did, this is what your character did in the last battle against evil incarnate or whatever.
Right.
So that was my start to D&D.
Wow. You talk about a story. Mine was back in college.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to Vincennes University, and a girl that I had gone to a youth group with, her older brother was at the same college, and he was a year ahead of me. Or no, he was 2 years ahead of me. But him and his roommate loved playing D&D.
Mm-hmm.
I had made a few friends, and turns out one of the friends I had made was this guy's fiance. We had just been she was hanging out with the same group, and so she and I got to talking, and she was going to introduce me to him. I scared the crap out of him when I walked up to him, and you just picture somebody you don't know comes up and says, "You're from this town, you went to this high school, your friend's name's this, your last name's that, your sister's name is that." He's just like, do I need to like call the cops or something? And so, I mean, we never actually got into a full-scale game, right? So I learned how to make characters. I made like a fighter wizard named Smolderos. I did an elven battle
Glitter mage.
What?
No, glitter mage.
Battle mage. Battle mage.
Battle mage. Okay.
I don't remember what it's called, but it came out of Complete Arcane. Actually, it was the fighter version of an arcane spellcaster.
Oh, okay.
And the first actual game we got into was a year after college. I moved down there.
Mm-hmm.
I got an apartment. This is also the story that I will never forget either. I wasn't running the game, but I was hosting it at my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the back room, and my apartment was on the ground level. We get to a point in the game where we find out that there's a demon that we have to get rid of in order to move forward in the game. So in order to kill him, we had to summon him.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the point where we're right there, ready to summon him, and there's a knock at the door. I'm like, okay, I'll be right back. I go up, and I go up to the door. I open the door up, and it's 2 Jehovah's Witnesses. Standing there, and they're like, yeah, we want to give you this nice message, and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay. And from behind me, I hear, hey, Cat, hurry up. We can summon this demon already. And okay, guys. I turn around. They're gone. 2 seconds, they are gone. And I'm like looking everywhere going, did something hit you guys? Did you get hurt? Are you okay? Disappeared.
Can't blame them.
I can only imagine what went through their heads in that 2 seconds before they're like, bye. And then when I moved back to Warsaw, we did a complete 3-5 game. Mm-hmm. And this is actually the origin story for your guys' game.
Oh.
It was a 3-5 game,
mm-hmm.
and it was called the Freeport Trilogy. So it started off as a Lovecraft-style game that dwelled around pirates and an open pirate port
mm-hmm.
where just anybody was at. And that's where key people like Tark's Prime, that was Dugan's first Tarks that he played in that game.
I remember him telling me about Tark's Prime.
There was an NPC that I created that became a key character throughout the game called Brodick. He was a Mystic Thurg, so he studied both arcane and divine magic. And then,
oh man,
yeah, Mystic Thurg was a prestige class in 3.5, where as you level up in it, you level up in that class, but you gain access to spellcasting as if you leveled up in both your character, your divine and your arcane classes. You didn't get any of the other class features, but you got access to the more spells. So by 20th level, it's almost like you're a 20th level sorcerer and a 20th level cleric, or something blended of arcane and divine.
That's
right?
crazy.
Yeah, really nasty. And then, of course, I added draconic aspects into it because I'm just a huge dragon fanatic.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And then it shifted into a homebrew game where they created the first dragon domain and summoned Io into the material plane.
I do remember. I remember that. Yeah.
And it was kind of twofold because in the first part of it, there was 2 other deities going on at the same time. There was Tiamat. She was trying to have the dragon domain summoned in her name instead of in Io's name, so that she could be the dominant deity in the material plane.
Okay. And
then there was the deity Cord, who was trying to stop it from happening at all. And the way I described it was, imagine like a large pizza. As you cut it, you have multiple slices. So each deity gets their own slice of power from the multiverse. And so if you summon a new deity into the material plane, it's as if you're creating another slice. So everybody loses a little bit of their power so that this new deity can have power.
That makes sense.
And so most deities didn't have an issue with it. Cord was all out, no. And he's the god of war. So he had no problem going, all right, let's do this. So that's how that whole thing had started.
Yeah, I remember Dugan telling me about them going up against a physical manifestation of Cord.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell that story real quick?
Okay, so the premise of this is somehow an orc with an intelligence and wisdom of 8 manufactured and wrote together a full-scale contract to commission a ship to go out and do lesser jobs for the Church of Io that they were working for. And the party would make money off of this. How Intelligence 8 decided to pull this off, I have no idea. And I was given the idea if I wanted to throw a real wrench into the game, find a way to make that go away. So an NPC shows up and sees the ship and is writing down notes, and obviously this gets Tark's attention, and he goes, "What's up?" And the guy goes, "I want to offer you a service to help outfit your ship. Better armaments, better weaponry, better equipment for your crew, so then that way if you guys come up against something that's truly wicked and nasty, you're good to go." I was like, okay, that sounds pretty good. Let me go talk to my group and let's see it out. And he and I'd actually gotten an actual piece of paper out, and I wrote out a contract and everything, right? And so I handed this thing to the players, and I said, okay, in your character's signature, sign this. Needless to say, Tarks did it like a little child with a pen. It's just So it was really, really easy. I grabbed a piece of transfer paper, grabbed a second sheet of paper, wrote down a different contract, and then literally physically out of game forged Tarks' signature onto this new piece of paper. They're going all out checking this thing for magic, checking it for traps, making sure this guy is on the up, and he was completely honest about wanting to outfit the ship. What he didn't say was he was going to take charge of the ship and steal it. So they go off on some other adventure. They come back. Their ship is gone. A Kraken that they had captured and trained to be a pet for the ship is dead. And all but 2 of the crew members were dead. And they go to the church. Dugan is pissed off. Tarks is pissed off. And Brodick goes, "Well, you signed away your ship," and threw the paper down. And they looked it up. My brother was in that game, and he's like, "We checked this. We did all this. What the heck?" And Dugan leans over and goes, "Forgery has nothing to do with magic." So fast forward into the last part of the adventure, they find out that they have to deal with the issue with Tiamat before they can deal with the issue of the ship. Turns out the guy he spoke to was a follower of Cord, and Cord was trying to put a huge dent in all the work they had been doing. So as they get done with the Tiamat issue, so Tiamat can't come to the material plane, they come back out. The dude that stole the ship, along with another small armada of other ships, are all right there. And what was it? There was, I think it was I was using the stats for a Minotaur, and I had amped it up slightly to make it more challenging. But I'd said that they were just these big, buff, tough guys, and one of them was an avatar of Cord. These jackwagons take a bag of holding, throw the thing over the guy, just enough to get it over his head, run up and slash the thing with a knife to cut it open. And if you read in the details, unlike 5e, in the details it says it just blips out of existence. Like, that's the cheesiest bullshit I have ever read in a book. What the hell? Are you kidding? This was supposed to be a big fucking fight! And so, as a way to kind of screw them over, I was like, okay, well, that summoned something else to show up now. And so they still had to fight, but they pulled it off, and I'm just like, fuck you.
Yeah, it involved. I remember it involving Tarks walking up to him, and then there was also, was it a gnome?
Yes,
with an ring of invisibility.
Yeah, that was James's character, Lynn Fiddle. The 2 of them were a pair. Lynn would sit on Tarks' shoulders and just hang on, and Tarks would be the one walking around. It was literally brains and bronze. Quite literally.
That's awesome.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff that was thrown into that. There was 10 draconic masks that represented the 5 chromatic dragons, then the 5 metallic dragons. There was ceremonial dragon daggers that Lynn Fiddle had used, and when they had gotten to almost the very end, the daggers all separate out, the masks all float out, and they form the shape of a dragon. And that's the first time they get to see Io, as these things create just enough of an opening in the veil between worlds that Io can push herself enough to be able to engage with the characters face to face.
Okay.
It was a one-time thing, so it was a critically important point in the game, and words had to be said, obviously. And then after that, she told them where they needed to go to finish the whole thing, and yeah. Oh yeah.
Sounds like a crazy campaign. Was it ever completed?
Yes.
It was completed.
It was completed. It ended at level 10.
Okay.
So something I do with my games is when I put together a full-scale campaign, I do it in the course of 2 adventures. First to 10th level, and then 11th to 20th level. The reason I do that is because when players get to level 10, they hit a critical point in their character.
Yeah.
And at that point, when you progress forward, your character does still get other features and everything, but by then it's a question of how strong are they? What can they overcome? Can I throw a Tarrasque down on the field and you guys cut through it like butter? You know, because I mean, equipment plays a role in this.
Yeah.
Various spells play a role in this. What you guys have figured out and learned how to do as a group to buff each other. If that means almost having advantage on rolls every round, or something like in 3.5, True Strike wasn't you have advantage. It was you have plus 20 to your roll. It was basically a guaranteed hit.
Yeah.
Every single time. Unless you were going against somebody who had an AC of like 42, and it's like, okay, maybe. So, yeah, so I'll go up to level 10, and then they're like, okay, do you guys want to keep going? In this case, they didn't want to keep going. So I stepped back as the DM, James stepped in, and that was where the podcast thing had kind of started, is years after us getting together and playing, the group dwindling down, and it just was me and James for a little while playing. And I was doing a one-off, and I basically put his character through a D&D version of Diablo 2, and then a D&D version of The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I threw little aspects into it and whatnot, but for the Oblivion one, I'm literally bringing up Elder Scrolls Wikipedia left and right, and putting him through almost exactly word for word the adventures.
Oh man.
There was at times where I may have pulled stuff from like Skyrim or Morrowind and put it in there as well, but yeah, and some of that stuff might be coming back too. So, big favorite D&D story that you have?
Oh no, that's gonna be very difficult. The one game that we've been playing, that my own group we've been playing, is Horde of the Dragon Queen, and then we just finished The Rise of Tiamat. And
okay. I have those books. Okay.
Yeah, we started last January, and we just finished the other week.
So the full, both books adventure. Oh, wow.
Yeah. We ended up missing, I think, 5 or 6 weeks. We meet up every week. We ended up missing 5 or 6 weeks, and 5 and 6 other weeks we did something different. Because not everyone could be there, so it's like, okay, well, let's play a board game or something, or
kind of like
Magic
how we do
the Gathering.
with the Blank Invasion.
Exactly that. So that entire campaign took roughly a year and a half to get through.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and I played a character named Argus, who was a red dragonborn draconic sorcerer. And his shtick was fire. So
obviously, red dragon, of course.
Yeah. So, and he had wings, but like his movement was limited to like 15 feet per round for like up until level 10, and then
limited movement.
It was instead of a full 30-foot flying speed. Just flying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So his flying speed starting off was 15 feet, and then when we got to like level 8 or something, it went up to 30. And then the reason why we did it this way is because one of the things you get at level 14 for a Draconic Sorcerer is a flying speed of 45 feet. That you can, like, wings can come out of your back, and then you can fly 45 feet.
That's a higher level of sorcerer.
Yeah, level 14, yeah. So, it was just like, he already flies, like, it's like, we'll just give it. It was a very, overpowered group. Like, yeah, so, like, we didn't really care about being too balanced, in that way. But, man, there's, like, so many fun things that happened during that campaign, that I can't think of right now. But okay, this is a little dirty, but
that's 90% of our podcast.
Yeah. So we had some downtime as a group, and we were in waters deep, and Argus was like, "Man, I need some funds. I need some cash money, like, right about now." And so he's lawful evil, by the way. And he's actually secretly trying to raise Tiamat behind the party's back. He's helping the Dragon Cult.
Oh.
So he's like, "What's something I can do right now that can get me a bunch of money?" He's like, "Well, I did just learn the spell Disintegrate. How about I go to the shady part of town and advertise myself as someone who can make someone disappear without a trace?" And it worked. He got paid roughly 50,000 gold pieces to assassinate a lower level noble. So there was like 3 days out in the suburbs where Argus would show up. He also had he also had some like disguise self spells and like illusions. Okay. So he'd just show up as like an elven woman, like in the suburbs, and just like read a newspaper right in front of their house. And like every day he was someone different doing a different thing. And it's like, okay, this dude is not coming out of his house. Like, he keeps on sending his like mistress or whatever along with some like bodyguards out. And I'm like, okay, I'm going in. So finally, the woman and the so are they answering chat questions? Yes, we are answering chat questions. Yes, we are. We're just in the middle of a little story right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, ask away.
LARP channel, hello?
Yep, I said that earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. You're welcome.
But, so what happened is Argus, he dimension doored into the noble's house, turned invisible, searched the house, avoiding the servants and like the chefs and whatnot, and he decided to go all the way up into the attic. And he opened the attic door, and there is the noble bound and gagged.
No wonder he's not coming out of the house.
Yeah. And well, he wasn't gagged. He was just like, "Oh, back so soon." And Argus didn't say anything. He just gagged him and then cast Disintegration Ray on the poor guy.
So no clue as to why this guy was tied up in the attic of the house.
He was into it. Yeah, that was super easy. Easiest assassination I've ever done by far.
Oh gosh. Oh.
Super easy target. Yeah, turned to dust, and as soon as Argus did that, there was a crash behind him, and he turns around, and there's one of the servant boys. He saw it, and he had like a tea set, and he dropped it, and Argus just deadpan looks at the boy. Disintegration Ray.
God.
And then counterspell. And then out of the little boy's mouth comes the voice of like a man saying, "I like your work, and here's for Or he's like, I like how you do things, and thanks for keeping it discreet. And he tosses Argus an additional 10,000 gold pieces, and then vanishes.
Wow.
And then Argus ended up, in a weird twist of fate, purchasing the house. And it became the home base.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we had our cleric, Genasi. Is that how you pronounce him? Yeah, he lived up there.
Wow.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite ones.
Question on artificers.
Yeah, I read the artificer can only make 4 items. Only 2 are active. Is that correct? What if I wanted my character outfit my party with stuff only a couple will work? And do you have any funny NPC stories?
So James played an artificer, and by the time we got to, was it level 4, level 5? It depends on the level of the item. If it's a lesser item, like a bag of holding, I think he had upwards of 2 or 3 of those made at any given time. I know he had something for his weapon, so it was like a +1 for the spell casting.
I am not an expert on artificers.
You know what?
I've never had to look at anything artificer.
I have the artificer class on here.
Oh. Pika Jenna says face reveal.
What?
It's my wife, Jenna. She's just playing it funny.
Hey, what? Huh?
Face reveal.
Yeah, okay. Very funny. All right, so we are looking for artificer. Let's see here.
Yes, we do not know your question, the answer to your question off the top of our heads, but we will find it for you.
Let's see here. No, that's not what I want. I want base. Magical tinkering. Learn how to invest a spark of... Okay, that's not what I'm looking for. Spell casting. Infuse item. There we go. Second level, you gain the ability to imbue mundane items with certain magical infusions. The magic items you create with this feature are effectively prototypes of permanent items. So let's go to the table here real quick. I know it's depending on the level you know. So starting at second level, you know 4 infusions. You can start with 2, and then at level 6 you can make 3. At level 10 you can make 4. 14 at level 14, 5, and then at level 18 you can do 6. 6 is your max. And by level 20, or excuse me, by level 18 you also know up to 12 infusions. So the number you can have active will never exceed 6 by the time you get to level 20. The ones I've commonly seen are Bag of Holding, which is always helpful. One I've personally used is if I'm playing my fighter artificer and I'm using a crossbow or a hand crossbow, the repeating infusion I'll put onto it so I don't actually have to put ammo in it. It effectively becomes a magical laser pistol where it creates its own ammo and just shoots magical shots. You combine that with the extra attacks from a fighter, it's like, poof, 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 poof. Are you done yet? Nope. Boom, 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 boom.
So there you go.
Funny NPC stories. Oh, good grief. Where the hell do we start? I think the funniest one I can think of was when you guys were fighting the Horned Devil in the last game. It wasn't so much the NPC that was funny. It was this small Myconid with a futuristic laser rifle nearly killing it in one shot and yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! Which, if you want to see that, one of the past YouTube videos we have is the video play of the end of Chasm of the Strange and the start of Case of the Missing Marsh. So right near the end of it, right in the middle of it actually, is when that was going on.
Yeah.
Then when that didn't work.
Part of that.
Oh, okay. You played an NPC? That's cool. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the comments.
Yeah. You never ended up saying what your favorite D&D story is, either.
It was the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry. I am out of it.
Hurry up, let someone this. All right, I'll be there. Where the fuck did you go?
I am completely out of it.
I'm trying to think. Did I have another favorite one that I really enjoyed? I know there's a ton of stories that I like. That was just the one that really, really sticks with me. Speaking of Dungeons and Dragons and stuff that we really like, you guys seen this thing? When the D&D movie came out, this was the popcorn bowl. Now, realistically, we all know this is for dice instead of popcorn.
Yeah.
But apparently this thing came in 3 pieces that you had to clip together and then attach the lid on. You can see the little notches right there where it slides in. What was funny was these things went so quickly that it was damn near impossible to find it. And there were people who were buying them from the theater just to turn around and resell them on eBay.
Yeah.
And they were going for $200, $300, $400.
Ooh. No thanks. I think I'll pass.
What was funny was simultaneously somebody had come out with an STL for a 3D printer to make these.
Huh.
And they almost got the color and everything down. The problem was it looked it didn't have the discrete angles and everything on it. It was all very rounded and everything. It wasn't the same thing. It wasn't. I was fortunate enough to find 2 of these actually.
Oh.
So we have one upstairs and then I've got this one down here. But yeah. I don't know if you guys can see that or if it's all backwards, but I always enjoy showing that stuff off. Yeah. Most of my stuff's actually on that side of the room, so
it's a very large room too.
Like this. So, just I don't know if you knew this or not. If you look over, well, you guys on Facebook can't see it, but the guys on YouTube, if you look over here, you can see this green right here. That's what this whole wall here looked like, as well as this. I went and I got paint and I repainted this, and I didn't really put brick on here. This is actually a paper that just covers it. Yeah. I had to go cheap, unfortunately. We're really fighting with the wall right now.
There's a couple bubbles underneath.
Yeah. But so I covered that up. There's supposed to be trim that goes along here, and I haven't got. You can actually. It's sitting right there on the floor over there. I just haven't painted it and gotten it put back up. But I was taking it all apart. And then on this wall over here, which in the video that we posted, that was like 3.5 hours long, that's the wall you guys can see on that one. And that, I know you can see it, where I tried to put the tape up and everything to put the soundproofing on. And I'm probably going to have to go back and use your suggestion with the spray glue.
Yeah. Especially, and if you want to make it temporary or not like damage your wall or something, you could just put it. You could do spray adhesive onto a piece of cardboard, and then you could just put up the piece of cardboard, and it's kind of like tiles, and it's like you make it into a bigger tile instead of just the small little 1x1.
Do you think they would still stick to that?
Cardboard would be easier to stick up like that, yeah.
Yeah. The lights that are right here, these were $1.25 each, and they are super. I can't turn mine on. They're super bright. That's why we don't have them on, because it just puts that glare you just saw. This shelf right here, I built that. There's another one like this there, and then there's another huge one over here, which you can see that in the video as well. Speaking of miniatures and stuff, I got a series of Spelljammer miniatures, and this one's probably by far my favorite one. This giant armored rhinoceros looking dude. Let you guys see that. Look at that. Isn't that guy just nasty looking? He also casts spells.
Ugh.
But yeah, I've got a shit ton of minis, and I'll probably show them to you guys at some point. I do cardboard tiling. I do my own makeshift crafting. We use a metal dry erase board for the maps and everything. So I do these little bottle cap magnet things. And
It's actually pretty nice. I'm going to try to replicate it in my own home game.
And they work out because you can put your characters in them.
Yeah.
They also work for like these levitating platforms. Whoops. So you can set that in there and it gives it more stability. It holds it in place. It's really simple to do. And if you're a beer drinker like I am, you have access to plenty of bottle caps.
Says, do you recommend any videos on boffer making?
Yeah, boffer.
Okay.
That's the...
Getting away from just
So
PVC.
give me just a second.
Oh. He knows what you're talking about. I don't. I know what PVC is, but... Oh.
That's not a good example. This is... So I'm assuming when you say a boffer weapon, you're talking about something like this. Is what my guess is. Like that sort of thing. Videos for making them.
You got some old ones up on your channel, don't you?
I might.
He said yes. That's what he's talking about.
Okay. Realistically, it's kind of simple to do. I don't have time to really explain it all right now, but there should be plenty of videos. The one thing I will say is be careful who you listen to, because you can ask 5 different people that question and get 5 completely different answers.
Mm-hmm.
The most common you're going to find is either EVA foam or pool noodle. The most common cores are some sort of a graphite shaft. Some people use golf clubs and cut the head off. Some people use PVC. I've done PVC.
Bamboo.
Bamboo is very good for the pole arms. The other thing I'm going to highly recommend is you pay attention to your size parameters when you're doing it, i.e. the diameter of the weapon, the length, because there's very specific things that you have to pay attention to, especially on the tips, because you don't want the core of the weapon to pop out of the tip. I've seen that. That's
very dangerous. Yeah.
There's a LARP story for you. I was playing Daga here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There was a kid that wanted to play. He was on the younger side, but he was of correct age. He had to have his parent, guardian, so his mom, I think it was, signed the paperwork for him, and a bunch of people gave her ideas of where to find stuff at, and so she found this like samurai sort of outfit sort of thing, and this guy comes out and he's got a really nice wide flat blade
Mm-hmm.
type of sword and everything. He's getting the shit kicked out of him in this game.
Oh.
Right? I'd landed a few hits on him. Some friends had landed, and he's sitting there, and you could see it on his face. This guy is struggling, and I felt bad. A few of us, everybody did, and one of the issues it looked like was he was struggling to swing the sword. Like he's going all out, just, and it was a sword like this. It's like if that's built the way it looks like it should be built, that shouldn't be so hard to have to swing.
Yeah.
So we get done with the field game, whatever, and one of the taller, bigger, broad-shouldered, experienced dudes is sitting there, and we're all talking. He goes, "Can I take a look at your weapon? Maybe it can help you figure out some things with this thing." He goes, "Yeah, sure." Hands him the sword, and it's really heavy. Really, really heavy. And he goes, "Okay, do you mind if I take this apart to see what you used to make this?" And they're like, "Sure." So he starts taking everything off. He goes to pull it out of the foam. It was an actual katana. And we're like, "Whoa, wait, hold on, back up." What? And he goes, well, you said foam-covered swords. And we're, oh, my God. Words escaped all of us. We're literally all just deadpan staring, like...
Not actual swords covered in foam. Swords made from foam.
The realization that any of us could have gotten seriously hurt during that battle ran through everybody's head, and we're just like... Immediately somebody jumps up and is like, who the fuck tested this thing? How did we miss this?
Oh, man.
That's the only other good story I have other than hitting you in the nuts with a throwing knife.
Yeah.
But yeah, past that, you had another question, and I forget what it was.
Future projects.
Future projects. Oh, good gosh.
Apart from continuing to work on the space we got down here.
Yeah. So when we first started doing this, we didn't have the camera set up or anything, and the table we're sitting at was not the original table we were using. The chairs that we have came from the original table, and it was this table that was on 4 thin wheels about this big, and the chair slid in under the base of the table, and then 2 sides came up. That table was going this way, and I had the little white shelf and this big shelf setting up like a miniature makeshift bar sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it was sitting over here. I was sitting there, and then everybody was sitting around the table right here. It was taking up, I don't know, more space, less space, something like that.
More or less. It wasn't really, it didn't feel too crowded. I think we had a little bit more elbow room. Because you had your own little table space too.
Yeah.
So we had just a bit more elbow room.
Personally, with the bigger table, see, originally when we had this table set up, this is where I sat, and then I had that shelf sitting where he's at, and then I had another shelf that's under the table now, sitting in this corner right here. And so I sat here, and everybody else sat around the table this way, and what I ended up doing was moving stuff around, so now 2 people can sit here like we are now, 2 people can sit on the opposite side where the cameras are at, and I can sit here on the end of the table. It's more elbow room this way too, I think. It just depends on who sits where and how they set everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as future projects go, well, I will say this. Level 10 is definitely going to involve this guy. I can say that. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the first major milestone. At that point, it's going to be a question of, do we move on to a different game, or do we continue with these characters, but go into the next story? Simultaneously, the sub-series that we've been doing with the blank, my hope is the next time we do that will be the final time we record that one, and we're done with, or at least done with the blank. I don't know if the characters will stay the same. That'll be up to you guys. If we don't do that, I have another game written once again by Critical Crafting that goes into more of a prehistoric concept, so it's much more dinosaurs,
that's cool,
fossils, bone-oriented weapons, etc., etc., etc. And I'm looking forward to that. There was another one that they gave to me as a present called The Hollow Expanse. That explores more of the astral plane. Slight bit into the futuristic concept where it's against alien-oriented type monsters and stuff. You still have your spell casting and your medieval weapons, but there's like suits that you can wear. There's more with astral ships. There's another version of a laser pistol involved in that one. I'm not sure if I'll actually go that far. That futuristic stuff gets really nasty really quick. And then there was a project involved around... I struggle with this. The theme of it is blood.
Ooh.
So the concept of blood magic is a big thing. Blood spells, essentially what it is if you want to cast a spell without using a spell slot, you sacrifice hit points.
Mm-hmm.
So it's your spellcasting modifier, I think, times the spell level.
Okay.
And that's how much hit points you take in order to cast the spell. But you don't use up a spell slot.
Okay. I think Dugan was doing something similar to the game he was running for the kids in the library.
Kids at a library, and he's
Yeah.
doing something around blood. Really?
Well, it wasn't blood specifically, but it was.
That's
it was.
what you said.
It's something similar.
Okay.
Something similar where, if you're running low on spell slots, you can use some of your own life energy, which is kind of a PG way to use.
Okay.
Instead of becoming like cutting yourself open or something like that, or like blood going through your skin into the magic you're forming.
Right.
Like instead of that, it's just you get weaker.
Yeah.
And if you end up doing it too much, it could like completely mess you up forever. Like you might not be able to cast magic again if you end up doing something like that. Or it was maybe along the lines of, if you get to 0 by doing that, you're just dead. There's no saves. You're just dead. Because you've just used up the last of your life energy to cast, I don't know, Wish or something like crazy powerful to save the group. It's kind of like it allows players to have more of an intense, like there's more to than just like, oh, okay, well, I gotta use my spell slots carefully. It's like, like I can die if I do this, and there's no coming back.
Yeah.
Like there's no death saving throws. It's like I could die from doing this, and it's just like a last Hail Mary sort of situation.
Right. Okay.
Anyways, as you were saying,
What was I saying?
blood magic.
Blood magic. I think I covered that already.
Okay. And it was just like, it didn't sound like you were finished. I just kind of went
I know
on a
some
tangent.
of the monsters. One of them was some sort of just summoned like demon thing that's made out of blood. There was a blood dragon. There was a spell where you specifically take a certain amount of damage, but you create like a weapon made out of blood, and then you can use that to fight against people and take a little bit of their life force to heal yourself.
Kind of like the that one sword from Critical Role, the Craven Edge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Similar to, but not exactly the same. I was like, I don't know that much about Critical Role, to be honest. I've seen the TV show Vox Machina, but I can't follow Critical Role for some reason because I don't have a subscription on Twitch or anything.
Oh.
And I just money's already tight, and
yeah, completely understandable.
But yeah, you're right. That was one of them, and then there was at some point I was going to do just a basic homebrew style game that just put together a cluster of makeshift monsters. One of them was actually the Headless Horseman.
Oh,
that one was pretty. That one's kind of a nasty one though too, because the axe he uses is basically a Vorpal weapon.
Oh, that's a
yeah. So, and I think the way it read was if you crit on somebody, you lob their head off.
Yep. And unless they can survive without their head, they are dead.
They're dead.
Yeah. It's an insta kill. Unless they are, what's the one above large? Is it huge?
Yeah, medium, large, huge, gargantuan.
Yeah. So huge or larger, meaning the sword can't physically cut your entire neck off, but it would still be a lot of damage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like if it doesn't outright kill you, it's like 150 damage or 100 damage or something like that.
I will say this to you guys: there's another little surprise that I may or may not have already shown you guys, but it'll be for Liz. We actually made her a small Myconid miniature.
Oh.
I didn't make it. Ren made it,
Mm-hmm.
and she did it all by hand. She carved it and painted it and everything, and then it was a small little eye bolt that was used to create the. It's just an eye bolt.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to represent like either a wand or a rapier or something that Strawberry uses. And then we were going to find something for a base to glue it to.
A little washer or something.
Or one of my little plastic coins if I can find them.
Oh, yeah.
As an idea.
That's cool.
Yep.
It'll be nice not just having a little
D4.
red D4 that's like super tiny.
Yeah. Was there another question you had?
I think that's all of them. Also, we're approaching an hour and a half. So I think this could be a good time to wrap up if you would like to do that.
If I would like to do that.
Yeah. I'm fine with wrapping up now.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. Oh, last thing I've got for you guys. He's gotten one. I've gotten a few of them. If you go to Amazon, search our group, the LARP channel, you will find our custom-made gaming notebook. Thank you. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Right there. It's called the Traveler's Journal. It is literally a basic journal that you can use for gameplay, note keeping. If you're in LARPing and they require you to have a spell book, there you go. And the best part is it's only $6.49. $6.49, you get the book, and it's going to last you a while. We are working on coming out with another one that's going to have custom-made character sheets, custom-made spell cards. It's going to have the notebook pages in it still, and there was something else we were going to put into it. I think we were also going to put homebrewed items that we came up with, like your healing dentures.
Yeah. And I believe it's you and Priscilla, right? That'll be mostly working on those.
Priscilla did offer to help.
Mm-hmm.
She's also been extremely busy right now, so I haven't
Fair
really
enough.
put a lot on her. Ren came up with the character sheet, actually.
Oh,
I didn't even know she was working on it until she showed it to me and asked my opinion, and I went, wait, you're doing... Holy shit, this is awesome. Yeah, this is cool. And then I had found something for spell cards. And then, yeah, the makeshift funny items. Those will probably go in the back somewhere. But, yeah, that's all we really have. This isn't something we planned on. We were actually going to do D&D tonight, but Cody and I were the only two available. Everybody else was busy.
It happens.
So we won't have an episode for this week. We won't have an episode for next week. But the week following that, we will be recording our next episode, I hope. And we'll be back on track at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody knows it. It's one of the problems with D&D. There's always a scheduling issue at some point.
Of course.
Wasn't there a point where we had to take an entire month off? Back in like April or May or something?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. One of our players was in Paris. One of our players was on a retreat. And then it was either you or Dugan who had something going on a different weekend when everybody else was available. And at the time, we weren't doing the second sub-series with the blank invasion. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Once again, make sure you stay tuned on YouTube for this Saturday, Mandy's Minis. We will try to put a link in the YouTube thing. If not, find us on Facebook. There's definitely going to be a link there to her YouTube page. And you can see how she actually printed and brought this guy to life. I was extremely happy to see this. You guys go, and I'll make sure you guys can see it too.
Okay, I found her on
Hey, that was
YouTube,
quick.
And I'm going to go ahead and post it in the
comments.
Yeah, in the comments. So if anyone watching right now wants to check her out, there is the link to her channel.
And now that I've actually finally shown it, I don't know what that was. I just missed that. But I can actually show this on our Facebook page, so expect pictures of this on Facebook as well. Yeah, I can't begin to express how thankful I am that she did this for us.
Crazy high quality.
Like, I am beyond ecstatic of the detail of this. Like, there was aspects of it I didn't even anticipate, like the orange and the red and the axe.
Oh.
Didn't even think about that. To me, it was just all red. And the detail in the red on the wings and the back and everything, I purposely made it darker red because I wanted to give it a grim sort of aspect to it. But yeah, if you pay attention to the podcast, you'll learn more about this guy and who he is. If you want to know where he came from, I suggest going to our first podcast, Voyage of the Fallen Stars, and getting into Raid of the Library of Secrets. And if you want to know the full-scale story of that, just listen to the Voyage of the Fallen Stars series. It involved mostly Mercer and the Blue Curse from a Wild Magic Surge. Yeah, it was quite the story. Sorry, you say screw you to a red gargantuan great worm. Yeah.
Things are gonna
happen.
Yeah.
It was a miracle he didn't die. That was low rolls on my part.
Oh.
Because she had him right here and she was about to go and be done. So, yep, we're gonna take off. You guys have a great week, and in 2 weeks we will have our next episode up.
Yep. All right.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Finish. Ugh.